On behalf of Coded Academy, Global Mindset, and VR AR Association, I'm delighted to welcome you to this immersive evening today. As a large number of you are from education, let me give you an analogy as to what is mixed reality. Just like in education, you've got a physical space where you've got face-to-face learning. And on the other hand, you've got online learning in a digital platform. That's what you have, the real world and you have the virtual world. The virtual world is like online learning and the real world is like face-to-face learning. What is blended learning? Blended learning is nothing but a blend in between the real and the virtual. And that is what is mixed reality. It's this entire spectrum. As we blend real with virtual, that is mixed reality. As we increase the level of virtuality, from augmented reality you go to augmented virtuality. But these are terminologies, don't get lost in them. We will now kick off the event, and the first part of the event is a panel session where we've got some beautiful speakers. We've got leaders from Samsung and Microsoft. I would love to see them go head to head, but I don't think they will do that. Let me start with Sonny. Sonny, has the tipping point come for VR AR? I've been waiting for the last 20 years. So has this young lady been.
I think the question is, are you asking the question on a technology viewpoint, or you're looking at that on a creativity or an experience viewpoint? Because from a technology standpoint, we're waiting. We want this tide to happen and we want it to move. So has it come? No. Where we're seeing the expansion and the growth and the utility of mixed reality coming into fruition is certainly being driven out of smaller experiences at the moment. The technology is there and the technology is ready to support everybody have these experiences. What we need to be able to do is just become more immersive in it, embrace it, and then create a really great story. I think was a great way to sort of put around that, to take it to the masses and really utilize that for good.
I want your perspective on this, Lawrence.
So Microsoft didn't invent mixed reality. So I know we had gone into the market with the term, but it came out of research in 1994. So the earliest mention is in a white paper from University of Toronto. From a Microsoft perspective, we had a very aggressive benchmark of what we want that experience to be. And we are releasing technology. Our vision is devices and software that understands people and spaces without you have to explicitly program it or handle it. So that is really where we are pushing mixed reality to make it very useful for people. And we're hoping that the technology that we use helps kickstart it. You know, right now most people's mixed reality experience or augmented or virtual experience is on a phone, and we're really trying very hard to introduce inside-out tracking. If you haven't tried it yet, it works pretty well. And I bought Doom VFR. I also brought brown pants because it's a pretty intense experience. If you want to track someone in space, you need an understanding of the space, and how it was first really accomplished at scale was through external track markers that you power and you place somewhere in the room. You don't have to place them in the ceiling, you can place them on the ground. Basically, you need an unobstructed view into the space, and then when you wear the kit, a combination of the device and the sensors placed in the room allows the person who is in virtual space to move around safely, so you don't trip over things, and also gives a developer a way to tell where you're moving. Inside-out tracking is the device itself tracking the room. You don't need anything external, you don't need external power, and from a developer's perspective, you treat the camera as the center of the universe, and the whole universe passes around it. So it actually makes developing a little easier, and you don't have to handle the presence or absence of sensors.
I want to understand what's happening in the schools now. Are they immersed in VR? I hear about schools in New York where kids are being taught in VR in kindergarten. What about the digital school, high school over here? What really is happening?
Great question, and I think it goes back to your question about tipping point, and are we at the tipping point yet? And I think we are almost at the tipping point. However, I think there's a number of hurdles that we've got to get over first before it will become mainstream in all of our schools. Are some schools doing it? Absolutely. Are they immersing their students in virtual reality to take them on excursions? Absolutely. It's happening now. However, I suppose the next... who knows where the technology is going to go next, but I go back to, well, as an educator, what do I want to virtualise next? What can't I virtualise? What can't I teach effectively without going into this medium? Or what can I teach better by going into this medium? And that's where I see the technology in K-12 going next.
So you gave an idea about where the technology is going next, but what is happening now?
Yeah, I agree, not much. Absolutely. So there isn't a great deal that's going on at the moment. But I think that a lot of that has to do with the types of devices that we have in the majority of our I'll speak in terms of AR and VR. AR, I think, is going great guns, and we're seeing a lot of AR, and we've seen it for years in schools. I think teacher librarians and a lot of other teachers were really keen to pick up AR in their spaces, 3 or 4 years ago. But I think virtual reality, because it's particularly dependent on high-level technology, especially the good experiences of virtual reality, and we do want to experience good virtual reality, not awful virtual reality, we've still got a way to go. Because I look at a lot of our schools and I know that even on the types of devices that we recommend, there isn't something capable of running high-end VR experiences, and that's something we've got to change. So I suppose one of the major apps that we've seen used would be Erasmus. So we've seen a lot of schools use Erasmus, and there's another one, and its name has escaped me right now. There we go. Sam, Ariane's yelling it out. Zappa. Okay. So Nearpod. Another one, absolutely, good work. See the team's back there helping out. Thank goodness for that. It's a combined presentation, and we're really seeing the students and teachers engage in those areas because it's exciting. It enables videos to be overlaid on projects to show processes, which I think is really cool. It enables students who developed a book review to overlay that over a book so that when a student pops up, they can put their iPad or their phone over it with an app open, and out pops that video of that student. So when I talk AR that I think is awesome, it's when students are creating AR, it's not when they're just experiencing AR. And I think we also have to do that distinction. I mean, I look at it, I want kids creating, I don't just want them consuming. Tipping point, we're consuming now. The tipping point flips over, our kids are creating. We're looking at that. Unity, getting our kids trained up in those areas is what we're looking at, so they can start to create those virtual reality experiences.
Thank you.
Do you believe that the speed of the internet has something to do with that?
Yes and no, because most of the experiences these days aren't actually that dependent on the internet, from my experience. So I might be wrong, but most of my, just the consumption side of things or the creation, but it isn't dependent on great internet, or it's on a closed network or based off a particular computer that you're using at present. So I would say no, the internet speed doesn't have a great deal of impact on our experiences.
So my question to Brian Bailey is, are we seeing that happening in the university? That are you going to be wearing those smart glasses where you get overlay of information about your students?
I think that's probably the last use case, to be honest, in terms of learner analytics.
So which is the number one use case at the moment?
Well, probably the number one use case you'll hear a little bit more about 6:30 with people like Michael Jacobson, people who've been using virtual reality for some time. Visionaries already have this happening. I actually work in the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, and so we've got, I guess, a slightly different case study about the non-STEM thing that was really good. We have 2 units currently using virtual reality, and a lot of it is to do with creating empathy and understanding and storytelling. So everybody's come across something called Project Syria, which is pretty tough, pretty compelling stuff. But for students of things like journalism, to find themselves in a situation in Aleppo that they could read about and become really much more engaged with the story, albeit in relatively short bursts. Other use cases we're seeing at the moment. One of the things we've done, I guess, in a way to fast track the adoption of VR, particularly in arts and social sciences, is to use platforms like Steam and demonstrate the concept of virtual reality. So again, things like units that help educate young gamers or young game designers.
In reality, how is it happening? Do you have got a lab that people walk into, people got headsets? How is it happening? Do you have the content?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. According to the press release I read, preparing for this the other day actually, we've got the biggest lab in the Southern Hemisphere, or worse to that effect, although probably Lewis is going to say we've got a bigger and better one. If he hasn't already. Yeah, they will, that's right. But we've got, I think, 26 Oculus Rift units in a newly created lab. But it's really nice actually. It's not a typical sort of Sydney Uni story of, hey, let's go out and sort of buy the best there is and make it all happen. It really happened very collaboratively. And I think, so going back to your point about adoption and the curve and the tipping point, I think we're really close to it. But what's nice about it is it's happening organically, it's real, and people are looking for ways to make the technology fit the pedagogy, not the other way around, which is good, because I think if we rushed it too hard the other way, we do more harm than good. So the use cases are really actually quite varied. It's people who are thinking it through and they're becoming quite passionate about the technology and they're finding ways to engage their students in stories.
Louis, there are 4 VR labs in UNSW. What are these 4 labs? Why are there 4 labs in the first place?
Well, look, actually, just to respond what you're saying, when we started this at UNSW, we faced the same issues as everyone. So our solution has been very basic. Basically what we do is what is called web-based VR. So I came up with this idea of, all right, put it on the web and add it to Moodle. So that's what we've been doing. We're using JavaScript libraries, APIs, and I started by myself, and now I have 16 developers on my team. And we started with 5 projects. We have now about 38 projects. So basically what we do is we create the immersive content as a web page, upload it into Moodle, and then everyone can access it using a $36 device. Obviously, we are developing other tools with Hololens and with Samsung and everything. But the main goal of what we're trying to do at UNSW is to make it widely adopted by the academic. So what we do is we sit with the academics, we talk to them about the content, and then we do it. And actually, we brought 3 of the projects that we have created. The only thing you need to do to access them is your mobile phone, and that's it. So, personally, I believe now is the right time to start doing it. There are many open source free tools available that allow you to do. There are a lot of libraries. We are doing a lot of things with AR and VR, and everything that we are working now is basically web-based. So the way for us to basically disseminate all these technologies is actually through the web. And this is exactly what happened probably 25 years ago with Flash. Flash started like a simple embedded object. That's exactly what we're doing now. So that's, for us personally, it keeps growing and growing, and we have actually a lot of people asking us to keep developing all these web-based solutions that are immersive. And for me personally, we really think that we are in the right time to do it.
I think that's great for getting a rollout across large numbers to be using web AR and web VR is absolutely fabulous. Any questions for Louis from the audience? Please, your name?
My name's Ash. So how do you actually convince the academics or the students to actually use your product? As in, for example, on the entertainment side of things, it's quite an easy way to actually say that Doom is quite good on a virtual experience. I could experience it and say, yes, that's great. But how would you say that education is actually going to be better in VR? It goes back to the K-12 question. How do teachers find those particular parts of education that are more appealing?
So I suppose I would put another question before that, do you encounter cooperation, collaboration, or do you encounter resistance from the faculty?
Yeah, initially it's like basically what we do is approach them. We approach them and we bring them. We have like a very open office. This is just everyone can see us. They call it the fishbowl, so everyone can see me and my team there. So basically what we do is we bring them in and we put the headsets, and then we told them, okay, we can create a specific environment. Two of the main things that we want to achieve is, for example, empathy. So with immersive technologies, you can create empathy. Another one is actually we can manipulate the 360 video into a VR experience so people can actually feel the sense of being there. So we always get that question asked, what's the difference between having a 3D object display on a 2D screen compared to a 3D object display on an immersive screen? So the area that we always try to emphasize is the fact that we can create empathy, we can create presence, we can create a sense of being there, and we can also manipulate that environment. So initially, yeah, there's some form of resistance. We have done probably 7 or 8 big classes, with more than 800 students, and it is a little bit challenging, especially to convince, what's the big advantage between using the 2D environment into the 3D environment. But as I'm going to display later, showing you here, for example, one case that we have is about ophthalmology. What we have been able to create is actually, if you put the headset, you actually can see what someone that has eye disease would actually see. So there's no other way to do that unless you really experience it, and that has created a lot of empathy. Now, there are other areas that is so difficult to sell. For example, we did a project with English literature, and we basically use a 360 video environment to create, to display poems. So it was a little bit interesting because, the poems could look in the middle of the immersive environment, so the academic was like, oh, that's weird, why is the poem there? I said, well, because it's immersive, yeah, but I don't want the poem there. I want them to listen to the poem, so you get this type of things, but yeah, exactly. So, I do believe that we can actually, at least with all the academic units that we have been dealing with, we have been able to find a way to make it immersive. But there may be some content or some areas of content that just will not, they will not see any sense of doing it. Still, the experience is nice because she was like, oh, the poem is there, so I can look behind. Still the experience was positive, so.
Right. I want to
Please.
It's interesting because HoloLens, people who are unfamiliar with 3D, they have a problem and they've tackled it a certain way and they're trying to get closer to their vision. Where I get a lot of phone calls, medical is just amazing. When you hear the problems that they have, doctors have always been limited to 2D. So I might have an MRI or a series of MRIs about your body, but I need to do something in my brain with medical training to transpose 2D into what's actually going to happen inside of your body. And also, if I want to look at the progression of a disease over time, that's just really hard to do with 2D imaging. So VR and AR and MR really helps there. And then you said something that made me think of this. When I talk to people who are building these solutions, for the faculty, I don't find them being bereft of ideas. Some of the ideas are kind of weird, like the floating poetry, but the faculty has an idea what they want to solve. Where I find our existing processes, particularly in procurement, where their processes are aligned to showing some tangible value back to the university, and experimentation in medium is not enough to greenlight the budget. So they're looking for those real benefits. And I think if we can fix that, and that's where I see a lot of the momentum, then you'll start to see a greater adoption. I think the group is out of Sweden, but they have a few patents around dyslexia correction using VR and AR. I've seen tons of patents around vision correction in mixed reality. So if you have an astigmatism, you can actually correct in software not just the virtual world, but also the real world. Because if you think about what your glasses are doing, they're just warping light. So you can also do that with the light that's in the room.
Last question, I just want one answer from all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Okay, and the question is, fast forward 5 years. Will it be AR or VR which will be the dominant theme? Starting with you. I know you are a VR player, but I want to understand your perspective.
We embrace all the R's. We've got quite a number of ARs already out in the field, so that's perfectly fine. I think it's 100% about the application. For AR brings a lot of real-world experience.
One word, please. One word.
But if you want 100% immersive experience, and especially for young children to immerse themselves in an experience or a vision, then VR is the way forward. So it's always going to be blended.
It's not the way forward. It's a forecast. 5 years down the road, will it be VR or AR the dominant theme?
It'll be blended.
Blended, okay.
AR.
Yeah, blended.
XR, extended reality.
Augmented virtuality.
That is